Hello, I'm Tabitha Cassidy from Digital Commerce 360, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to be talking about the quickly approaching holiday season and how retailers of all sizes are pivoting their strategy to meet the accelerated demand for online shopping. Whether you've already increased your e-commerce footprint to meet the market or are just getting started, now is the time to evaluate how to connect with consumers as they are willing to discover new brands and products. This webinar will include identifying and understanding shifting e-commerce trends and their long-term impact on shopping behaviors, ways to utilize Google tools to amplify your marketing across all platforms, getting aggressive with your ad dollars to stand out in a crowded market, and how to build customer relationships that last beyond January 1st. Then we'll hear from Darragh O'Doherty, Agency Development Manager at Google. Darragh has worked at Google for over 9 years in 3 countries and brings extensive knowledge of Google Ads platform and the agency ecosystem to his clients. Darragh works closely with Google's top premier partner agencies on the West Coast. When he's not in the office, you'll find him out enjoying the wonderful city of San Francisco. Also joining us will be Yael Zlatin, e-commerce sales director at Adtaxi. Yael creates omni-channel digital marketing strategies for businesses of all sizes to be able to scale profitably. She is grounded with a strong entrepreneurial background, selling her first retail business profitably right out of college. Since then, Yael has founded and sold multiple e-commerce businesses and enjoys uncovering unseen opportunities to help businesses grow. In her free time, she spends time with her 3 kids, hiking, and exploring the Rocky Mountains. Just a few housekeeping notes before we get going. We'll take questions at the end of the presentation, but you can ask them at any time using the chat box on the right side of your screen. You can also use that box to let us know of any technical difficulties you are having, and someone will help you out with that. All attendees will be entered into a raffle for a 200 Amazon gift card. Plus, all attendees will receive a free copy of Digital Commerce 360's 2020 Leading Vendors to the Top 1,000, valued at $399. With that, I'll hand it over to Darragh.
Thank you so much. What a lovely introduction. Yeah, most of my time I do try and enjoy the wonderful city of San Francisco, but unfortunately with the fires at the moment, it's been a little challenge to get out and about, but a wonderful introduction, and thank you. And hello to Yael as well. How are you?
I am doing great. Happy to be joining this webinar with you, Darragh.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, so we've got a packed schedule and lots of people, so let's get right into it. And I think what we wanted to do was kick off with a polling question. So what we're looking to see is what Google products or tools do you use to drive e-commerce sales? And feel free to choose one or more options: Google paid search, Google shopping, YouTube, Google custom intent audiences, and my favorite, I'm new to e-commerce, so I'm just here to learn. So we'll give you a couple of seconds to have a think about it, and we can discuss the answers. I guess in the meantime, Yael, since we are here, we're talking about holiday season, a lot of shopping events coming up. Anything top of mind for you, for yourself or the family, that you're going to be purchasing over the next couple of weeks and months?
Absolutely. I already have my wish list ready to be implemented. This holiday season, I'm totally a huge sucker for furniture and art. Sitting at home and working from home makes me wonder how I'm gonna rearrange my naked walls. So I definitely know I'm gonna be purchasing few beautiful art pieces that I can hang around me and stare at them while having these awesome webinars.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, listen, everyone, that's it. People have been staring at white walls probably for the majority of the last couple of months. So that's a very good time. There's deals out there. So we'll do a quick last call just on answers, and then we'll wrap it up and we'll see kind of what the consensus is. Okay. Very popular poll results here. I guess I'm not too sure if everyone else seeing, but I can see a lot of zeros anyway. So what I can see, typically Google paid search, always a very popular platform, and I think really is going to be the base of your strategies for the next couple of months. Obviously we're here in ecom, Google shopping, really should be a priority product for you as well. YouTube, I think, is a really big opportunity this year. Especially, we've got a busy couple of months coming up with, or a couple of weeks coming up with the election. TV is getting very busy now. People, have been really diversifying their media usage, and I think YouTube as a platform is super viable. And, Google custom intent audiences, if you haven't heard about them, really popular product that we've released in the last couple of months again. Basically, we take the best of what you have on search, your keywords, websites that your users are potentially visiting, and you use them as targeting over on YouTube. And no shame in it either. You're new to e-commerce, you're here to learn as well. So that's what today's about. So let's keep moving forward anyway, and we'll have perfect. There we go. So 2020, it's been a very unique year, a very challenging year. And I think for everybody, people are looking forward to the holiday season from a business standpoint. It's been a slow couple of months for a lot of businesses. Now is the time to make up for lost profits and lost revenue, and for consumers as well. US consumers like to shop, and this is a really, it's an important and a busy time for everybody. So with the pandemic, the economic outlook, and the upcoming election, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. And for businesses, really, 2020 has been, as I said, a tough year. We expect retail sales to decline about 10.5%, which is more actually than what we'd forecasted for the 2009 Great Recession. And the COVID and what's happened really has forced companies to rethink their business models, and they've had to adapt to the accelerating trends. Think about like contactless pickup, curbside, contactless pickup, buy online, purchase in store, all that sort of stuff. People are finding new and innovative ways to meet customers halfway, to keep short, to make sure that there is that physical distance, quite literally. And that being said, shelter in place and social distancing orders, they've really shifted how consumers are purchasing online as well. As I've said, coronavirus, biggest disruptor in consumer retail spending in recent history, far eclipsed the US, or the Great Recession, I should say. But US consumers, they're a strong and a resilient bunch, and ultimately they've adapted to the new normal. I do apologize for saying that. I think it is the most overused and tired phrase probably that everybody hears right now, but it is very apt. People have adapted, and as the holiday season grows nearer, now is the time really to accelerate your online presence. E-com has risen as much in the past 8 weeks as it's done in the last 10 years. And e-com is now representing about 27% of all retail sales in the US. So when you think about it, every business needs to adapt. Your local restaurant is now an e-commerce business, be it a click and collect or curbside pickup. The same goes for your coffee shop or your grocery store. Interestingly, in Q2 2020, Starbucks saw a 29% digital mix of orders. And in June of this year, over 45 million ordered their groceries online. That's roughly a third of US households. There was a poll I think I read last year that was done by, I think with Google and Ipsos, and 80% of respondents said they'd never really considered purchasing their groceries online and getting delivered. But obviously, COVID has really shifted those trends. What's more, which I think is really encouraging as well, is 46% of US online shoppers are buying from new brands, and that including direct to consumers. So people, like Yael mentioned, she's been looking at that wall for the last couple of months. People have time in their hands, and they've been doing more research, and they're ultimately changing their shopping behaviors, which we see is going to have a long-term impact. This is now muscle memory of how people have adapted, and we anticipate this year again, e-com is going to be the vehicle where people will purchase, but stores will still play a part in it. And we anticipate a lot of buy online, and collect in store, curbside pickup. All of this sort of stuff is going to be really important to your strategy and tactics over the next couple of weeks as well. And a recent e-com study we published on Think with Google, it told us that, again, I apologize, this new normal, it's defined by what are the essentials I need, and I'm bored. What else am I doing? We've seen seasonal decor, arts and crafts. A recent study told us 64% of consumers are planning on buying this in October. Pet supplies, apparel, beauty products, home and garden. I myself took up golf. I think like most of the US who didn't play golf, it was the only way to get outside. And I've started purchasing things online. I've changed my behavior myself. I think typically golf would have been something you'll go in the store, maybe you'll try the clubs. I actually did the complete opposite. I spent a lot of my time researching on you know, websites, blogs. I spent a lot of time on YouTube watching reviews, unboxing videos and things like that. And again, these are the sort of step changes that is going to define that new normal. And all of these categories as a result across the board and for all your businesses as well will be of peak interest to consumers. And the pandemic created opportunities, I think, for brands to win new customers, you know, by meeting their urgent and unexpected needs. You know, more than 30% of consumers have shopped online with a new store or retailer. And really what we saw was this is because Amazon, Walmart, Target, the big players, you know, they were focused on delivering essentials. And we also saw, you know, it was quite popular in the news, Amazon as well pulled off quite considerably from Google Search, and Google Shopping, which ultimately has left a large void for a lot of retailers to come back in and take some of that market share as well. And really with time to plan, it's fair to say that these massive online and big box retailers, they will be back for the holiday season. You know, Walmart last year were doing pre-Black Friday deals as early as October 20th, I think. So things like that, you know, it's important now. We're bringing out this webinar early, you know, I think because the holiday season is earlier and people this year are really motivated to shop online. And, you know, we need to start thinking about these strategies earlier and earlier. And for the first time, you know, since 2009, as I said, overall, the retail sector, we anticipated to drop about 10.5%. And, you know, that's going to impact and affect a lot of people. But, you know, encouragingly, consumer sentiment is high and e-commerce sales will climb about 18% to just over 700 billion this year. And that represents, you know, over 15% of total sales in the US. So a lot of people here, and there's a lot of opportunity for businesses to go out to the market. And really, you know, I think, especially in the last 6 months, we've seen, you know, a crazy boom, as I said, in retail sales. And actually from Q1 to Q2 of this year, we saw a 31% increase in e-commerce sales in the US. So again, you know, boredom can be profitable for a lot of people. Unfortunately, not too much for me because I'm on the other side of spending, but I'm a consumer as well, right? And this is kind of what people have been doing. And thinking about your own strategy right now, the platforms that you need to be on to talk to people at various parts of these journeys. So, you know, you can be a part of this 18% growth. And as I've said, you know, people with time in their hands, they're doing more research, they're looking at different platforms, they're looking at different retailers. You know, 54% of consumers reported to us that they had made purchases from brands that were new to them. And, you know, looking at some of our analytics data from some of our top clients as well, 41% of retail web visitors were new from March to July of this year. And again, we're seeing that shift, or that step change, I should say, kind of as we're coming into peak holiday season as well. And really, you know, what this means is that I pulled some data from this wonderful googly graph that I put together. So it's charting kind of Google search demand across some major verticals in 2020. And really the graph on the left is brands, so coming on and gone to Google search and searching proactively on a branded term versus generic. And really what this says for the US market is that, you know, indecision, people are undecided, they have an idea of a product that they want, but they don't have the brand in mind. And again, that speaks, I think, to a lot of the information that we've seen in the last few slides about people have more time in their hands, more time to research, and that journey to purchase is getting longer. There's multiple touch points, you know, across Google, Google Search, Google Display, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Amazon. People, you know, the journey is more fractured than it has been ever before. And it's really important as a strategy that your strategy is connected, cross-platform, cross-consumer, so you can be there at these kind of pivotal moments, especially when we see such an imbalance between that brand and generic. And the generic space right here is a really big opportunity to play in, and thinking about areas of how we can do more, right? So YouTube, other video platforms, to get your branded name out there so you can start to influence people earlier in that journey. And winning the consideration, I think, of these new customers, right, is going to be really important. And thinking about how we can drive repeat business during the holiday season is going to be a unique challenge as well. You know, 80% of consumers who shopped with a new brand during COVID-19 may not spend with them again. And simply, we've just had too much time in our hands, too much time to research, and we've realized that there's more options online than potentially in my local mall. And again, this is a really, you know, unique opportunity to look at it, I think, from two perspectives, right? So retention strategies, leverage remarketing across search, across display, across video if you're using it, customer match, which is using your CRM information to try and target customers as well, and really trying to keep engaging with customers across email, across your other marketing operations as well. Have strong call to actions and really incentivize customers to try and come back to you as well. But on the other side as well, really important to think about net new customers and how we can target those, and think about the platforms again that they're going to be on. For me, I think video is a really viable platform and a cost-effective way of going out and trying to reach new customers at scale. Think about, again, lookalike audiences, so similar audiences within your Google Ads accounts, affinity in market segments, and try and mimic the behavior of what your target consumer is doing online, and push that targeting towards them. And really, we are in uncertain times, but over here at Google, we're definitely here to support our customers from product discovery to checkout. We definitely encourage you to keep using Google's technologies to meet the consumer across that digital path to purchase. And really, we've kind of bucketed, I think, 4 tangible solutions. Okay, so digital first, accelerating your e-commerce sales to responding to these new patterns. Demand driven, we need to start investing wisely across the season. And new to file, so as I discussed in the last previous slides, there's a big opportunity out there. We need to try and drive repeat purchases and target new customers as well. And thinking about your reach and awareness strategies, so put your billboard where consumers will see it. So thinking about that digital landscape right now, what are the touch points I need to be at throughout that journey? So clients need to accelerate e-commerce, I think, to respond to these new consumer patterns, because we can't rely on store visits really more to kind of get those unexpected sales. And the holiday season this year, I think, is going to be unlike any that we've seen before. Last year, stores, brick and mortar, they've always been the channel of choice for the American shopper, but this won't be the case in 2020. Shelter in place, another effect of the pandemic. We've seen, and you should be seeing this in your own data as well, right, that we've seen an accelerated shift to online, and it's created a stickier online consumer. As I've said, we've got more time in our hands, we're more curious, we're doing more research, and 72% of consumers have told us that they will shop online more for the holidays this year than they did in previous years. And as I said, even if e-commerce isn't your main channel, make sure that your strategies and your tactics are involving, as I said, kind of click to collect, curbside pickup. This is all the sort of information that your customers are going to need, because we can still make sure that the store can play some part in it. It just may be more in the delivery aspect of things as opposed to the purchase. And this spring, retailers and brands that were prepared for digital first strategies to meet consumers along that path to purchase have definitely had a competitive advantage and have definitely profiteered from it. We've seen, interestingly, category focused online retailers like Wayfair and Chewy really rose to the occasion. And then we saw some omni-channel retailers show how they could scale e-commerce effectively as well. And interesting enough, actually, Walmart for the first time this year will surpass eBay as the second largest e-commerce retailer in the US, behind Amazon. So you can even see, small nimble players need to react, but even the big heavyweights of the industry have been able to pivot quite fast as well. And again, that's that consumer behavior that's driving those changes. Oh, there we go. Back one. So I'm having a nightmare here, my apologies. There we go. So, thinking about that shift in consumer behavior again, 91% of consumers have said that their shopping behavior has been adversely impacted over the last 3 months. And looking forward to what consumers want for the holiday is going to be, it's hard to predict, right? So, there's going to be new desires for goods emerging, including things like bread makers, backyard trampolines, puppies, all of these things which typically we would see being unexpected. And forecasting for holiday demand has always been challenging. So it's important to set yourself up early for success, so that you're not making big critical decisions during kind of peak season. And again, kind of later on, we'll talk about, it's the same with your Google Ads account, right? We shouldn't be making large scale changes over these peak seasons, you know, when you're thinking about algorithms and smart bidding and stuff like that as well. And that should be the same as your shopping strategy. So new customers, especially those who have potential to be a high value customer, these stickier customers are definitely worth speaking to and trying to retain long term. And the pandemic has created opportunities, I think, for brands to win new customers by, as I said, meeting those urgent needs. And really what we want to try and do is be there at each point of the purchase journey, thinking about your merchant center, thinking about your Google Shopping account, making sure you're leveraging the right sort of promotions, making sure you've got, you know, customer lists in place, right? So your new site visitors, recent purchasers, you know, 48-hour non-converters, all these sort of innovative lists, I think that will really help you target the right customer, and then, you know, using, you know, targeting like custom audiences and stuff like that to tailor your message to really capitalize on that high level of consumer demand. And, you know, as I said, lastly, you know, rethinking reach is going to be a big one. So put that billboard where consumers are going to see it. So heading into the fall, you know, return of football, popular network shows, you know, there may have been you know, in previous years, it would have been a Thanksgiving parade, Macy's Thanksgiving parade to kick off the holiday season. Unfortunately, a lot of this is going to be delayed this year. You know, TV programs and cultural events, you know, sporting events, they're slow to be coming back. And reason, you know, it's important to think that there's usually a big kind of kickoff to this period, but now it's going to be a slow transition, we think, this year. And 2020, you know, it's going to bring a lot of disruption, especially with the election coming up as well. Joe Biden, Donald Trump, they have about 100 million in cash on hand that we think is going to be pushed out very late into probably television. You know, and if we look back at the 2016 election, we've typically seen that like 1 in every 3 ads on television is now election focused. So consumers, you know, typically claim to dislike these ads so much that you know, 1 in 2 plan to shift their entertainment to streaming platforms to avoid political ads. And again, that speaks a lot to kind of things like cord cutting. We've seen maybe 9 million people in the US have dropped off cable over the last 12 months. And again, they're subscribing to these on-demand platforms like YouTube, YouTube TV, Netflix, Hulu. So this is where your customers are as well. And I think it's important to have that conversation with them. So thinking about your video strategy as well, and making sure that you're able to influence those at the top of the funnel, essentially.
These are really great insights, Darragh. I appreciate you sharing all this great information and the 4-step tactics that every e-com should be looking at their business. We always, you know, talking about the Rethink Reach, I really enjoyed your little nuances there and the bits of information you shared with us. We always say that shoppers, you need to be where they're at, and you also think about what places they're trying to avoid and not spend your money being there. So learning about digital first, demand driven, new to file, Rethink Reach. I'm going to segue into the second half of this webinar. We're going to take a deeper dive into the set of the exact actions and the best practices you should be including in your e-com space to grow your revenue this holiday season, and most importantly beyond this holiday, because it's one big continuum. Let me just make sure that I can move slides here. So folks, I know everyone here probably knows who Google are, and happy to have Darragh with me on this webinar, but let me just introduce who Adtaxi is. We are an omni-channel solution provider, a paid marketing agency. We are a Google partner and one of the 3% agencies to hold that partner badge. We normally work closely with Google and have a dedicated hands-on team to help us grow e-commerce business, analyze performance, and make sure we're innovative and up to date with all the algo changes in the go-to-market strategy for our advertisers, especially in these unknown waters. In addition to Google, we also have few other badges and partnership with all the major social platforms, as well as platforms in the programmatic space. Before giving away my secret sauce to the path to success this holiday season, I would like to take a quick poll. And let me just quickly read the questions that we have for you. So what is your biggest challenge with marketing your e-commerce business this holiday season? Number one, budget. Product mix, and by product mix we talk about the different platforms you should be buying media from, knowing where to invest my marketing dollars, keeping up with our merchant center data feed, or my favorite as well, I'm new to e-com and I'm just here to learn. We're gonna give you about a minute to vote. Please vote this poll, and meanwhile waiting for the results, Darragh, I'm gonna kick it back to you and I'm gonna ask you, what are you going to buy this holiday season?
That is a great question. Honestly, you'll laugh at this now, and I think a lot of people online will, but I made actually a purchase probably a couple of days ago. I just got it into my head that now is going to be a really good time to buy luggage. So I'm sure a lot of people did. I was heavily influenced by, I got an email from Away telling me that there was like a 60% sale on the website. So I suddenly decided that I needed a new suitcase, even though I have no travel plans for probably the next 12 months. So I bought a suitcase, which is kind of my big purchase over the last couple of weeks. I'm kind of also, now I mentioned earlier on, I'm playing golf now as well. So playing golf very, very badly, but I've quickly realized that golf is a very expensive sport to play. So buying really silly things like tops or golf balls, a golf glove, things like that. That's really what I've been purchasing for the next while. And kind of coming into the holidays, you know, it's really hard to say this year. I think I want to get my wife a present, get myself maybe a new present. You've inspired me actually, because if our video is on now, I'm literally staring at a white wall and have been again for 6 months. So I'm actually contemplating maybe painting the wall and maybe getting a nice piece of art for it as well. So do send me on your suggestions when you make some decisions, because I'll probably follow you down that route as well.
Right on. So hobby, travel, and some art on our naked walls.
Yes.
All right. Okay, folks. So I believe we closed the poll, and let me just go ahead and read the results of the poll. So I am seeing 40% on voting for budget, 14% of you voted on product mix, but most importantly, majority of you really want to know where you should invest your marketing dollars. The million-dollar question, 90% voted on keeping up with the merchant center feed. Later on in this webinar, we will talk about feeds, everything feeds, and we'll invite you on another webinar that's going to take place on October 20th. And then we also have 19% of voters that are new to e-coms. So welcome. And this is the right place for you to be in if you are trying to grow your e-commerce business. As far as knowing where to invest my marketing, we will try to answer that going in depth around the different product and channels that are available for e-com business owners. Hopefully by the end of this webinar, you're going to be feeling smart and encouraged and empowered by the knowledge you'll have, knowing about how you should go about within each platform. So going back to our, let me just make sure oh, here we go. Okay, so let's talk about timeline. You heard Darragh talk about retail trends, some retail closures this holiday season. We know that shoppers will be anticipating for mega sales day. However, there are multiple micro sales events you can use for your advantage. We all know it is pricey to invest in media during the Black Friday weekend. You should be doing it. However, before and after those mega sales day, you have these different events that you can use for your advantage to buy data, clicks, and impressions, and increase the funnel you're investing in. So the most important thing you need to know is that you want to encourage your shoppers to buy early this year. Don't leave them hanging until December 14th or 15th. It's a bad idea this year. And to ensure that they will get get their gifts on time. You want to have messaging that goes and encourage them to buy now instead of later. Now, going into October, today's October 1st, we actually are seeing a new holiday introduced in the retail or e-com space, which is 10/10. It is aiming to mirror China's Singles Day, if you know when that is. It's 11/11. The aim here is to pull holiday shopping into October from closer to the holidays, so retailers can cope with limits on both shipping and capacity, as well as available merchandise. Now, mid-October will be also October 13 and 14 will be when we'll have our Amazon Prime Day. It normally used to be in July, and now it's in October. And then we'll wrap up October with Halloween. So you have micro events happening this month. Going into November 3rd is going to be Election Day, and then followed by Veterans Day. We do have few advertisers on our end that use Veterans Day to increase sales, and then use the 2 weeks from Veterans Day, so mid-October all the way through Thanksgiving and Black Friday, to create anticipation for the mega sale if you have, or if you're not having a mega sale, create anticipation for the special combos and kits you'll be offering just for the holiday season. So November 27 is Black Friday, followed by Cyber Monday, huge holiday timelines. And then going into December, historically, we would see that e-com will start slowing down sometime December 12-ish and onward. Now, it happens normally and naturally as people get closer to the shipping cutoff day, which is December 14th, if you are using USPS and most of the other US carriers. We will encourage you to offer multiple shipping options. So we'll know that people will shop early, but just like always, we will have your last minute shoppers, and to ensure these shoppers are not going to bounce off your cart, we want to ensure that they will continue in their purchase journey. Do make sure that you are sound about having different shipping options like priority or overnight shipping. Once we're done with the holiday season, we're going to step into December 26th or 7, the day after holiday, and also known as the Boxing Day in a few other countries outside of the US. And it's a really great opportunity to start your end of year sale. We normally see a massive market re-entry on the day after Christmas, especially due to the shoppers receiving gift cards as their holiday present, or receiving presents that they want to exchange. For us in the e-com space, every click matters, whether someone converts right off get-go or not, because you can retarget them. So that's a really great opportunity to build that funnel. This year, we anticipate to see numbers even higher as folks are waiting to see the end of year offering, since we know that in difficult times, people tend to self-gift themselves. And we have different sources of information showing that this holiday season, folks will be buying for themselves, as well as their friends and family, their holiday shopping. Now, we're done with December. What happens next? What happens in Jan 2021 and beyond? You have different great mini events going into Q1. So New Year's Day is a really great event. You have MLK Day and Valentine's Day. Normally we see this massive shift towards shopping, takes you all the way through mid through end of January, and then we see our advertisers start increasing their budget towards Valentine's Day advertisement, as well as St. Patty's, Spring Day, Mother's Day, and Father's Day. So you really have a packed 6 months. And if you really think about it, Q4, Q1, and Q2 kind of related to each other. It's one big straight line of continuous revenue generation. Going into the actual checklist you should have. So why are we talking about checklists? The reason being is no matter how great your campaigns are, how great is the product, the platform offering, if you are not ready for the flood, for the anticipated traffic, no matter how great your campaign is, it's not going to work well as it should have been if you have optimized. So we have created a checklist to ensure that you are sending traffic to an optimized site, and you have a button up your sales funnel ahead of time. You don't need to have all of these check marks in place from the get-go, but do keep this list in mind for this holiday season and beyond. So number one, we encourage all our advertisers to have a 3-second and lower speed load time, especially due to the different platform requirements around user experience. So in order to find out what's your load time, we will recommend using Google's Page Speed Insight to test your speed load time on mobile and desktop. We are seeing consistent pattern within the e-com space in which mobile serves a lot of times as a window shopping experience per se by users, and then they come back and convert via desktop. Obviously, it is a generic saying. Every business is different, but we do see that pattern across the line of our advertisers in-house. Just to give you an understanding, if a site makes 100K per day and a 1-second improvement in a spin load time can generate as an extra $7,000 a day, i.e. 7% increase in overall conversion in the daily rate. That's how important speed load time is. Slow load time, on the other hand, will lower your quality score in Google AdWords, which will affect your CPC. And same is true for social channels. It will lower your quality score and increase your CPMs per poor UX presence. Now, going into the second most important thing is the shipping fees and the shipping times. This holiday season and beyond. If you do offer free shipping, make sure your web visitor knows that you have free shipping. Don't anticipate for them to know that in advance or anticipate they will reach their cart and they'll find out they have a free shipping offering. Make sure you're sounding clear and you know you can inform your visitor in time that you are offering free shipping. If you don't offer free shipping, and if, for example, you want shoppers to shop X amount of dollars until you do offer free shipping, make sure they know that ahead of time. Don't anticipate them to reach cart because most folks will bounce off before. Another thing that I would like to encourage is to create a promo calendar early. If you haven't created one, do it today. As you've seen in the previous slide, there are many chances to create a themed sale. You want to make sure you update your site with the banners and the right messaging, and you also update your paid media ads to make sure that there is one consistent message across the board. Use your product feed to adjust what you advertise for in accordance with your inventory supply. So if you have an influx or if you are missing products, you want to make sure that your feed is updated. You do want to avoid phases in which people click through your website, get to a product they are interested in and find out of stock. Hide them, make sure you don't show them. And the opposite, if you have an influx of products, you want to get rid of this holiday season because your maybe brick and mortar store was closed in the last few months, make sure you push them through the feed. What else do I want to tell you? I want to tell you that if you are in the business of growing your business, the one thing you do want to understand is who your persona, what people do shop this holiday season. Is it a certain segment within all the clicks and links you're getting that actually shops with you? Knowing that will help you convert them better. For example, if your shopper is 55 plus female, you want to make sure the messaging and the visuals go in accordance with her behavior. Same is true with 25-year-old millennial, right? So you want to make sure you're not going to show the opposite. The 25-year-old millennial should be looking at images that don't represent them. And then your first-party data this holiday season and beyond is your best friend. Now is a great time to awaken your dormant shoppers. Brand loyalty isn't that in the highest these days. So do go after them proactively. Awake them with messaging, fill them, make them feel special, like they are in a VIP club with special offers or special products you want to show them. And then finally, the one place that 99 advertisers leave money on the table is the checkout process. Few of the reasons for low conversions are either shipping prices, account setup requirement, login requirement, or links they can click out of on the header or the bottom of the page. So make sure it's clean. Opportunities for you to increase conversion within checkout will be typeless payment options such as Google Pay, Amazon Pay, Apple Pay, or PayPal. And then Another opportunity that I would like to encourage you to do is to create upsell and cross sells, not only on your product pages and on your home pages, but also in the checkout page, which is the best page to increase your average order value. Going into the actual segmented shop, historically, we're witnessing a historical shift within the different segments, and we are welcoming baby boomers into the e-com realm. So now that we talked about your online store, going back to Darragh's notes in the shifting shopping behavior and looking even closer at the change in demos, for the first time, we see a massive shift in the Gen X and baby boomers towards e-com. According to eMarketer, baby boomers are slower to adapt to technology, but they are most likely to stick with the ones they find value in. Few other things you need to know about baby boomers. They have an outside share of the total US household wealth. They are least likely to try new online stores. However, once they do, they will have a very strong brand loyalty, so they will not ditch you as fast as maybe other groups will. Within our own book of e-commerce business, we have noticed a sharp shift in the specific age groups, and now a lot of our advertisers see these age group as the dominator of the new revenue generation that happens in the last 6 months. It is actually most vividly it happens vividly with our hybrid advertisers, folks that have brick and mortar stores and e-com. We now know that these folks that used to visit their brick and mortar store go online and shop with them, and they have really great average order value. So still talking about baby boomers, things that they like and dislike. They like big fonts, especially when on mobile, so make sure your graphic design actually goes along with that. They like their product info to be easy and to review and understand. They don't really bother by image aesthetics when compared to millennials, and same is true for speed load time on mobile. So the opposite of what we were talking. They're not gonna really care if it takes them 3.5 seconds to load the website. They are patient. And knowing who currently your persona is key. Having compelling message, and also make communication easy. Remember that big chunks of your new buyers, your baby boomer buyers, are very used to physical experience, and they need a virtual hug. They need everything to be easy. Most importantly, look at the product offering. Make sure that you are showing the right products for that specific segment. Now, talking about products, really quickly, let's go over about the products and take a deeper dive into your SKU offering. To give some holiday context, self-gifting and seasonal shopping can be positive outlets during difficult times. With an average of 74% of global shoppers served, research says that they're going to give themselves during the holiday season, and even better, 78% said they're going to buy gifts for others. So FYI, folks are shopping for themselves and others. We suspect this holiday season to have a higher shift towards holiday gifts in the $50 ranges and less. Through our own experience, we're seeing lower average order value items serve as an entry item for majority of our advertisers. So do make sure that you show these items right off get-go. You can use your feed to create these segments and then push them towards the different platforms, Google, Facebook, etc. When looking at Google Analytics, and make sure you are set up with Google Analytics to start with, look at the product performance and notice what items are bought in quantities of 2 and higher. These items should be great for an upsell and cross-sell strategy. Not all of them, so be creative about what you're seeing, but do use that data to create your strategy and increase your average order value. And then looking at your CRM list, as well as your historic data, look at the bestsellers. What bestsellers you have and what other products can complement these bestsellers. When you see an item that have a high average order value that can complement your bestseller, that should be your upsell strategy with your remarketing audiences. So there are great data points within Google Analytics you can find to create a really good increase in your average order value this season. So a thumb rule, low cost items are great for new audiences, and high ticket items are really great for people who are familiar with your brand and you already have a social authority with them. Going into the actual products Google have, I'm going to let Darragh take it away and talk to us everything Google can offer to our e-com advertisers within search, shopping, and YouTube.
Yeah, thank you. And I think as well, yeah, you mentioned shopping in particular this year is going to be really big, really thinking about, your feed, right? Thinking about the campaign setup, with standard shopping or smart shopping. And like you touched on as well, understanding the persona of the consumer, and that first party data. In particular, your customer matches to your remarketing list. I definitely encourage people as well, which is a very unused nugget of gold, is actually in your Google Ads account, go into Audience Manager, and actually within each of your remarketing lists, we'll actually break out some really interesting information around demographics, location, and actually give you some interesting insights around other in-market and affinity segments that we think that the consumer on that list is indexing towards. So really, and these can all be plugged in again across these 3 platforms. But thinking about shopping, right? So yeah, you touched on a lot of those key dates. There's a lot of shopping dates coming up, right? So we want to make sure that you're there. Your physical store may be closed, but your online store is always open, and we want to make sure that people are browsing. Okay, so make sure your impression share is going to increase in those key dates. Optimize your feed, right? So go beyond the basic attributes and start thinking about custom labels, advanced SKUs, in-depth product details, thinking about is it time to refresh my imagery? Do I even start, thinking about how do I optimize? Maybe I need to change some of the colors in the text. Now over the next, 2 or 3 weeks is the time to start thinking about how to test, and making sure you've got your promotional pricing in the feed that's going to be accurate, it's going to be efficient, making sure you've got your stock levels right. Talk to your if you have a Google team, or reach out to Adtaxi, and schedule some time to think about a feed audit and making sure that everything is set up there for success. Again, on the thinking about promotions, making sure you've got your merchant promotions in place as well, and thinking about you touch on again, Yael, about the high profit, high margin products versus the lower end, the $50 ones, which are going to be really popular this year, and making sure that your campaign segmentation is built to reflect those trends as well. So segmenting high value products, low value products into low, medium, and high priority campaigns. Leverage smart shopping as well, which is a new product that Google have brought out, which has been very, very efficient, and it's really leveraging all of the AI, I would say, that Google has to offer right now. So thinking about how you can segment those campaigns by profit margins, actually. So where you're making sure that you're maximizing utility in those key days. And for more advanced advertisers who are still trying to drive foot traffic as well, curbside pickup, buy online, click and collect, that kind of stuff. Local inventory ads as well are going to be really, really important. And if your business is able to use those, I would highly recommend them as well. Thinking about search, and again, these are 3 connected strategies. So I think that we talked about where, your digital billboard, I think really these are, we should be using these, as a connected strategy for the holiday season. But on search, right? So yeah, I'll touch on it again. First party data is going to be pivotal, right? So your remarketing list on search, your CRM data, your customer match, making sure that's refreshed, making sure that those lists are active. If you don't have a remarketing list right now, set up a Google, get your Google Analytics tag onto the site. Again, something Adtaxi can help with, and start to build those lists, right? I think Yael will tell you, a little later about the length of how we can actually target those people post holiday season later in the year. Making sure you're leveraging smart bidding as well, right, across all of those key products. The system, the algorithm understands that it's holiday season, it has the data points, it's going to pull in everything from your account, so make sure that that's reflected there as well. Yael touched on it again, think mobile. This year, we anticipate 70% of consumers are going to start or finish with their purchase online, through mobile. So it's going to be really pivotal. Yael talked about that load time, things like that. there's a, thinkwithgoogle.com as well. We have the load or the page speed test there as well, and you can put in, there's a revenue calculator that, Yael talked about, the how much extra you can make or lose alternatively by those slow speeds. Creative excellence, so that's what we call thinking about your search ads, right? Thinking about all of your creative in general. You've got the right calls to actions. Your messaging is talking to the right people. Yael talked about baby boomers. They need a certain type of creative. They want a certain type of message. Make sure that your creatives are reflecting that as well. Thinking about, ad extensions as well. Okay, so using call extensions, if that's applicable, promotion extensions, price extensions, location extensions, so we can drive people to local businesses if you're open, and reviews extensions. All of these things are going to maximize your real estate on the results page. So make sure that if you can leverage them, use them right now. And then finally as well, make sure that you're there for those key moments on search, right? So people, Google search is the world's biggest search engine. This is where people come online to start their search, okay? And we saw from previous slides that people are coming online right now and they're searching generically. So there's an opportunity for all of us here to make our mark. And thinking about the platforms, I think that the new and innovative platform that's going to drive success for this holiday season for me is video. Video, YouTube watch times in the US are broadly speaking around 37 minutes per day at the moment. That's a lot of, that's connected, right? So youtube.com is actually the world's second biggest search engine. And people are coming on there, they're watching reviews, unboxing videos, their makeup tutorials, how to, maybe Yael and I will be on it next week thinking about painting our walls, right? Getting getting some inspiration there. But really thinking about, make sure if you have a YouTube channel, make sure it's linked to your Google Ads account. So you're getting all that good data that's coming out from YouTube. So anyone then who has maybe watched your video ad or maybe been on your channel, you can plug that information back into your search and shopping campaigns. Leveraging custom audiences as well. So taking the best of your keywords on search and the best of your websites on display and actually pushing them in to products like shopping or YouTube, where actually we can say somebody has been on, on Google search in the last couple of hours and they've come back onto YouTube now, and we can engage with them and understand, what your measurement strategy looks like. So if we're looking for brand and we're out there trying to raise awareness for all of those people who don't know, let's not expect to get conversions. But if we're looking for performance video product, then we can think about, the expectation is that we're not looking for reach, we're looking for more of a conversion based. And again, that strong text, that's that call to action within those video assets as well. I mean, we could do a whole other webinar on creative in itself, but make sure your creative has the right calls to action in it. You're looking about either 15 or 30-second video as well. Majority of people are watching YouTube on mobile these days, so make sure that your video is going to reflect good in portrait mode. Make sure the lighting is good. There's a lot of good nuggets there. But all in all, these are three really my tips for success, I think. And all of these should, I think, to maximize your utility in this holiday season, I think you should try and leverage these products together as opposed to being siloed. And just a little note down the bottom. So we've released seasonal audiences. So those familiar with Google Ads. So we have in-market and affinity segments for Black Friday and Christmas that are now available within your account, and you can leverage them across search, shopping, display, and video.
Great, awesome. Thank you so much. This was so informative. Folks, I think we're heading towards the end. I will go ahead and run through the next few slides, talking a little bit about programmatic and social really lightly, and then I have a few other things that I would like to mention before we're running out of time. So tactics for success for programmatic. For anyone who doesn't know what programmatic or RTB, real-time bidding, is, it's generally the third biggest bucket for advertisers beyond Google and Facebook. At the most basic fundamental level, programmatic is used to refer to display banners, but it also includes native, pre-roll video, connected TV, and streaming radio amongst the products that it offers. Within programmatic, we have the ability to reach 99% of internet users. So you do want to have some sort of a programmatic representation within your media mix to ensure that if you have your millennial or your baby boomer as your persona, or both, when they're not on Google or Facebook, you want to be following them across the open web. Now, I do have here a few bullet points around pre-roll, which is 15 to 30-second video ads. We find them really great for prospecting or for creating a message throughout the different websites that your users are going to be interacting with. Native ads, their name is because they do look native to the website, but they are a paid ad, and they're normally there to educate your consumer around pain points or questions they might having. They almost look like a blog these folks will click through. You want to employ multiple prospecting tactics. So within all these programmatic products, including connected TV, which is basically a TV, an app-based TV, and has all these wonderful cord cutters that you can reach on prime time during their viewing schedule, and not the opposite, how it used to be with cable. You want to be employing all these great prospecting tactics like behavioral tactics, lookalikes, predictive modeling, etc. So you want to be reaching these folks outside of the big channels and where they're go to, as well as creating mobile optimized ads. And measuring the review through abilities, so impressions and clicks. You want to measure that, and one of the things you can do, and we'll talk about it here in a second, is use them to retarget. Now, within social channels, the best tactic for success is simplification of your account or your campaign structure. The AI ability is pretty strong, and CBO really, and for folks who don't know what CBO is, campaign budget optimization, that Facebook use it. You want to make sure that you simplify your account. You want to make sure that you understand the algorithm and the logic it has, and that it does require you to have 50 events for a 7-day window. Hence, if you are constrained by your budget, you don't want to have too many campaigns or too much creative, because then you're going to be running thin and you're not going to be reaching to those 50 events per week that Facebook requires for purchase optimization. On the creative side, having diversification of ad formats. So just video or just static or just collection ads isn't enough. You want to make sure you have all of those, because they actually change in accordance to the mobile reception. That's how Facebook algo works. So if you do have a strong mobile reception, Facebook will show you a video ad. If you have a lower Wi-Fi reception, it will probably show you a static ad or a collection ad. So you want to have all these in your arsenal. Most importantly, you want to understand, what ads you should be using for prospecting or what ads you should be using for retargeting. Historically, retargeting is great with dynamic ads or collection ads. And then prospecting is really great to have video there, as well as static ads. That is all true for Snapchat. Snapchat does require from advertisers to unlock their optimization event, i.e. if you want to bid on folks who have the high propensity of adding into cart or purchasing, you want to make sure you get 50 events per these purchasers or add to carts per week. So you want to push more budget at the beginning and then slow down as you move into the second, third month of your campaign. We have talked about Google products. We have talked a little bit about programmatic. We have talked about checklists. We have talked about social and all these different channels. And the one thing that I'm actually asked is, what will be the role of physical stores versus online? How exactly we should behave? So, now you should have a better understanding of the landscape. E-com is on the rise. We see shifts in behavior. We see different stuff that we haven't seen historically. So we kind of took a leap in few months, something that should have happened took us few years. Now, while future remains unknown, we can see that some changes in the shopping behavior are likely to stay with us. I will personally say they will stay with us beyond 2020. So despite the partial reopening in many states in the global markets, online shopping behavior stays strong. It unveils that it become more and more convenient to use direct delivery option or buy online and pick up in store. I think Darragh have mentioned it a few times throughout this webinar. So in essence, we are witnessing a new norm across the board within our advertisers. We also see increased support with local businesses and independent business. So people are looking for small businesses, and they are looking for unique business with customized offering. If you are this type of business, lean into it and mention it in your brand positioning. It's a strong point. And then, you want to make sure you adapt to technologies with click and collect. That's what the future entails. It entails some sort of an omni-channel representation. Know that this holiday season, we are buying, media from all these platforms, but you can keep these clicks and impressions up to a year from now. So if you bought a click from Google, you can keep it all the way towards next holiday season, and it changes from platform to platform. Running into the end, guys, if you are having questions about your feed, I would like to invite you into our feed webinar that will take on October 20th. We'll be answering and diving into the product segmentation. So I will invite you to follow up. There is going to be a link in the follow-up email you can use to register for the webinar. And obviously, if you are feeling overwhelmed, I will encourage you to, to click on the link that we'll have in the follow-up email and submit for a free audit. It is completely free, complimentary. We will do the heart lifting. We will find the different wasted spend and the bottlenecks you have on your side and the different recommendation we'll have to grow your business. Going over this information, I know you guys have had some Q&As for us. I'm going to go ahead and allot some times for Q&A. Let me just make sure that I am opening up the questions here. 1 second here. All right. So I actually seeing one question on my end. Darragh, I think you have one question on your end as well. My question says, I have thousands of SKUs. What is the most effective way to segment my products? I think we have replied that in our webinar talking about profitability. So profit margin is key here. However, there are multiple ways of segmenting your product. Again, you guys can hop on the webinar we'll have on October 20th, and we'll talk about the details of product segmentation. Darragh, do you have a question on your end?
Yeah,
actually, Yael, we are out of time right now. I'm so sorry to interrupt, Darragh, but we will send all of the questions that we received to the panelists. So if you have submitted a question, we will make sure that the right person has a copy of that question and they can get back to you. So thank you both, Darragh and Yael, for the presentation and for everybody for listening. As promised, I will announce the winner of that free $200 Amazon gift card, which is Lisa Marinin. Congratulations, and please be on the lookout for an email from our webinar team after this broadcast is finished. For all attendees, there will be a replay of this webinar available. And after we conclude, you'll see a pop-up window on your screen asking you to provide feedback on today's webinar. If you can, please take a few moments to fill this out. Your feedback helps us plan future webinar topics and understand what kinds of presentations work best. Also, please keep an eye out for our weekly email to find out what other webinars we have planned, or visit digitalcommerce360.com to see our upcoming schedule or view our library of archived webinars. Thanks and have a great day.